Hey guys, we're back with our next episode of Sryth, our fantasy text-based RPG. Last time, I don't know what we were doing. It was part 61. We finished the old man battle, and we've moved on to sort of Trithic. I sort of wanted to go in order from like southwest up other way, but we've ended up in Trithic, so I think we should just stick with Trithic and do the quest or adventures there, because there's plenty. And so, hey, why not? But before that, we do that. Thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. Let's just go, okay? I'm gonna hit it back to my Quickstone daily experience here. I'll take that. We finished the old man quest, but I do want to go back to southeast to Trimble, to my castle. Say hi to Candles. But improve on upgrades that I made here. Spend all my gold on my castle, cause I guess why not? So much gold to spend on my castle. But we want it to be the grandest castle in all the world. Yep, there's Candles. Hey Candles, how you doing? And then let's head back to Trivet, which is western. So here we are in Trithic. Let's check out the adventures and get going. We finished all the proving grounds. I know that much about it, so that's exciting. I thought we already did Dreams and Whispers, but it's saying that we haven't. Silent Dreams and Strange Awakenings sounds interesting, but I'm gonna skip it because I think we've done it already. So let's try Carolda's Tomb. So begins Carolda's Tomb, the dragon in a musty cluttered shop in Garon's End. The rumours are true, as so it seems. Tipped off by a fellow adventurer who thought better of venturing into the inn, you arrived at the Dragon's Den in search of a recently acquired map its proprietor was said to be peddling. The shopkeeper, a thin, unkempt man named Lonrelt, seems reluctant to admit he's ever heard of any such map, but when it becomes obvious you might be willing to purchase it, he quickly produces a foiled piece of tattered paper bound with a single silver thread. This is some sort of tomb or whatnot, says the thin, unkempt merchant, his fingers twitching nervously along the edges of the rogue map. You can't see it neither, not until you buy it, and it won't come cheap either. According to the rumours that led you to this shop, the map in question details the location of the ruins of the tomb of Carilda, a sorceress who lived and died more than 400 years ago. Some of the legends surrounding Carilda's life and her untimely death indicate that the master mage was entombed with a powerful trio of magical rings, a tempting prize for those willing to brave the dire perils that might be found inside the crypt of a suspected necromancer. To the best of your knowledge, her crypt has never been found, or perhaps equally likely, anyone who found it and dared enter it may never have returned to tell of it. The notion is a sobering one, but not enough to dissuade you from inquiring about the map. How this speller came to possess what you've been told is a map that leads to Carilda's tomb is beyond you, but you steadfastly determined to acquire it for no other reason than to satisfy your own piqued curiosity and maybe test the veracity of certain age-old tales. Lonrelt clears his throat and sounds snaps you back to the present. This sound snaps you. The merchant's preferred smile, a crooked, insincere expression, prompts you to want to tackle the business in hand and be done with this place. I don't want to steal it. We could just buy it. Lonrelt nods and tells you that he will part with the map for a reasonable sum. I think that 500 gold is a fair price for something of such obvious value, he says. Sure. Lonrelt accepts your gold and probably hands you the foiled piece of paper. Don't go getting yourself killed or anything foolish like that, he says. I don't know that my conscience would allow me peace if something along those lines were to happen. Stepping away from the merchant, you remove the silver thread and carefully unfold the tattered piece of paper. An elaborate map, some of it quite faded, is marked in black on the paper's aged yellow surface. Your eyes follow a meandering dotted path that leads into the dense forest east and north of Sryth. A gruesome skull is inked on the paper at the trail's end. You now know where to find Kurilda's tomb. Behind you, Lunrot clears his throat. You turn to find the peddler peering over your shoulder. Rather unfortunate to find that sort of thing on a map, he says, glancing sideways at you. A skull? I suppose it might mean anything. Nothing good, though, probably. Well, I'm sure you know what it's all about. Suddenly and inexplicably eager to leave the shop, you bid Lunrot farewell and make your way back out onto the street. The instant the shop door closes at your heels, a profound sense of relief washes over you. You can't quite put your finger on it. You're left with a nagging, unsettling feeling that you narrowly avoided something altogether sinister. Without delay, you hurry away from the shop, the map of Kurilda's tomb now among your belongings. Okay. Well, that was that whole adventure. I mean, I guess I could go check it out, right? And let's save. It's been 2 days, so we definitely should save. Travel to the tomb, baby. While making your way through the forest to the location marked on the map you acquired at Gadarong's End, as you near to what your map shows as the supposed location of Kurilda's long-hidden tomb, you begin to find yourself plagued with the feeling that someone or something is following you. With this unsettling notion for among your thoughts, you now and again start to carefully survey your surroundings. Each time, however, the serene woodlands around you offer little to bolster your nagging suspicion. Your quiet vigilance is met only with the calls of forest birds, the chatter and buzz of insects, and the rattle of leaves as gentle breeze drifts through the lofty reaches of the ancient hardwoods. Nothing seems amiss. Allowing yourself a brief respite as you near what you hope will be the tomb, you sit down on a large rock overlooking the shallow ravine and stare out into the tangled swath of forest that yet lies between you and the spot marked on the map. Suddenly, a soft feminine voice slips into your right ear. This voice you've heard before, though you can't immediately call when and where. Don't turn around. It's preferred that we don't see each other, at least not yet. Is it the girl from the beginning who saved me from being attacked at the very beginning? The pulse quickens upon hearing the whispered directive as you're immediately aware that it's the voice of your mysterious rescuer, the unknown woman who aided you escape from the bandits who took you captive after ambushing the coach in which you were traveling. It's been a while, whispers the voice, and our roads have diverged, but that was expected. We're still in great danger, though, even if we refuse to see it. Intrigued by what's just been said, you resist the temptation to spin and face her and instead inquire about the great danger she missing. This time her whisper is delivered to your left ear. It wasn't some accidental circumstance that led you to that shop, she says, making obvious reference to the Dragon's Den in Gadarong's Inn. You were meant to get into that coach. I know I've told you as much before. You were also meant to acquire the map that led you here. Yes, the tomb is close, just over yonder a bit. I've taken the liberty of clearing the entrance. I hope you don't mind. You certainly won't have any trouble finding it now. You asked her how she's involved in this and how it is that your decision to seek out into and explore Kurilda's ancient tomb was related to your decision to board the coach that was attacked. Related? The whisper finds its way into your right ear. I don't recall ever going so far as to say they were related. Destined, yes. Related? That's a matter that will be sorted out, I suppose. But not one worthy of any long, lengthy consideration just now. If we can access something else, her voice, barely above a whisper, returns to your right ear. You'll almost certainly find what you're looking for in that place. You're seeking her 3 rings, aren't you? It's quite like they're waiting there to be found. Won't be easy. These sort of things rarely are. I might have just a spot of help I can provide to you. Here. The dull clink of a metallic object being placed behind you on the rock upon which you're seated piques your interest, but before you can turn to see what's there, the unknown woman's voice slips into your ear. Take it after I've gone, issues her soft voice. I think you'll come to know a use for it. For those rings, I've no doubt you will. After all, unless you're very much mistaken, you're meant to do so. After nearly a minute-long silence, you realize the mysterious woman whom you now twice encountered, but never seen, is gone. Ice cube of skulls. You stand and turn around. Your keen eyes immediately scour the forest in every direction, seeking any sign of the soft-spoken stranger, but there's none to be had. Resting on the broad rock upon which you're seated is an object that was placed there for you. An engraved iron cube, almost as large as your fist. The black metal cube Each of its sides adorned with engravings of skulls seems unusually cold to the touch. Believing that the curious object may somehow prove useful, you carefully place it among your other belongings. You find yourself beset with lingering sense of unease following your encounter with the whispering woman, something you've yet to catch even a glimpse of. Though there's nothing to indicate that her motives are those of the we to whom she alluded, perhaps inadvertently, or in any way nefarious. Something about your pair of timely meetings with the woman suggests that her outward expression of selfless concern may mask other carefully hidden and less well-intentioned designs. On a short way from the forest, from the site of your unexpected encounter, you at last reach the spot marked on the map. There, next to several heaps of freshly overturned earth, is a set of cracked steps, descending steeply and arriving at a landing before a tall stone door. Much of the undergrowth that must be previously covered with this swath has been hacked away and heaped into several tall piles, and as she stated, your mysterious ally seems to have cleared the entrance for you. You're standing deep in the forest, north and east of Sryth, at the entrance of Carilda's tomb. A set of crackling steps descend steeply into the earth before arriving at a landing for a tall stone door which stands ajar. Enter. You reach the bottom of the steps and examine the tall stone door. A massive slab, its worn surface bearing several intricately engraved symbols, stands ajar. There easily enough room for one or more people to squeeze past. All indications are that someone at some point must have discovered and entered the tomb, leaving you to wonder if it indeed its contents remain intact. Though she made no mention of it, you can't help but think that maybe the unknown woman you now twice encountered opened the door for you, perhaps even went into the tomb itself. These unanswered questions do little to diminish your eagerness to explore what is supposed to be Carilda's resting place. With your light source in hand, you cautiously edge your way around the partially open door, making your first venture into the musty, gloom-filled confines of the ancient crypt. You stand just inside the entrance of the tomb. Light from the forest outside splashes in around the partially open door, but does little to combat the pervasive gloom that fills these ancient passages. To the west, the broad corridor extends into the darkness. You're gonna love this guy, it's so green, fabulous here. Yes, I'm getting distracted, I apologize. I'll be a bottle wall. Alright, well, let's head west. That's the only way to go. Interesting. That must be the way we came from, since we headed west. Let's just go north. A massive figure of iron, its square head nearly touching the ceiling, stands in the broad alcove at the back of this circular chamber. The face of the 10-foot behemoth, engraved on the pitted metal cube that serves as its head, bears a hideous frozen scowl. After examining the towering figure for several moments, you turn and make your way out of the room. Okay, to the south. Okay, same. Suddenly, you nearly stumble over something lying in the center of the corridor. Close examination of the object reveals it's a leather pack. The large bag is in an advanced state of decay, suggests that it laid here for many years. After moving the satchel with your foot, which serves to tear it a bit, you carefully investigate its contents. You've got 10 gold and daggers, and a hand-shaped blue garnet. In the remains of the leather pouch bag, you discover a pouch which contains a small quantity of gold. You also find 2 daggers, a curious piece of blue garnet, somewhat crudely shaped like a hand. After examining the hand-shaped piece of garnet, you carefully tuck it among your other belongings and prepare to set off on your way. Okay, more of these towering figures. Okay. Alright. Let's go south. First, suddenly, at almost the last possible moment, you spot and avoid a carefully concealed trap within this section of the corridor, and after carefully positioning yourself, making certain you aren't in harm's way, you spring the snare, ensuring that it no longer has any chance of taking you by surprise when you next pass along the length of the passage. Watching horror, several thick streams of black ooze suddenly pour out of the holes in the ceiling, sizzling as they foam into a broad puddle on the floor. Thankfully, your actions have spared you a potentially deadly encounter with this sinister trap. After taking a few moments to search the immediate vicinity for any further traps and finding none, once again resume your exploration. A raised block of stone dominates the center of this small chamber. Set in the center of the top of the stone block is a shallow square impression. Engraved skulls, many of them deformed and hideous, surround the outer edge of the block. What did I pick up? A hand-shaped blue garnet and the iron cube of skulls. I'll try it. Instantly you fit the iron cube into the impression, stabbing pain. It's up your arm and surges through you, causing you to gasp in agony, stumble back for the stone block. Once made to society, you constantly approach the stone block and remove the iron cube from the impression. Wow. How rude. Almost the last possible moment, you spot and cleverly avoid a cleverly concealed trap. We read that already, so I'm not going to read it again. Engraving in the north wall of this alcove depicts 3 fingers, each fitted with a ring beneath a much large finger also fitted with a ring. Okay. Trying to tell me something? More traps. Okay, what's in this corner? Shadow square impression. Oh, I'm not just gonna stick stuff in there anymore. Let's see what's in here. Another trap. Alright, we check the top corner first. Finally, you just happened to me. Engraving the south wall of this small alcove depicts 3 linked circles inside a larger circle. Okay, what does that tell me? Nothing. Okay, this bit. As you approach the stone arch on the western end of the corridor, a profound sense of fear washes over you. Unable to quell the inexplicable and overwhelming terror assailing you, you're forced to hastily retreat along the passage. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna try to put the thing in the thing and see if it does anything. Finally. Nothing. Suddenly a faint scraping sound reaches your ear from somewhere far through the misty gloom. After just a few moments, the unsettling noise fades and you once again surrounded by eerie silence of the tomb. Okay, something has happened. What? I don't know. See if any of these figures have got on. No. Okay. The shadow stirs. A sharp clattering and a series of grim hisses issue out of the darkness ahead as an armor-clad skeleton staggers into view. The fearless, undead guardian is ragged tabard, still bearing the faded insignia of his long-dead master, lurches forward and vanishes you with, his ancient weapon. Separate from the pile of shattered bones, the feet the skeletal guard, a faithful servant of the sorcerers, both in life and after his death, is no more. Taking a few moments to check over your equipment, you must get set off along the border, your every sense on edge. Is it one of these guys, or we're just under attack now? I think we're just under attack now. We've let something out. Okay, won't let me go there. Come on, let's go down. What's else can we stay? Can you take me higher into a place where I'm blind? Mansu. Can you take me higher? What? You step back from the pile of shattered bones at your feet, the skeletal guardian, faithful servant, and the sorceress, both in life and death, is no more. I think this is one of those. Need everything in here. Those all say the same thing. Just I'm not reading them. Anything else? A sense of dread descends upon you. You're moving along the passage comes to an abrupt halt as a hideous figure lurches out of the darkness ahead. Its arrival immediately precedes by a profound sense of dread. A decayed corpse, clad in tattered leather remnants, wielding a sword with a jagged rusted blade, moans loudly as it ambles towards you. As the undead abomination closes in, you suddenly take notice of something dangling on an iron chain around its fleshless neck. It's a piece of blue garnet shaped like a hand, almost identical to the object you recently discovered. You draw yourself into combat-ready stance as the sword-wielding undead fiend bears down on you, its ghastly moans echoing along the chamber. Your undead foe staggers back beyond the range of your attacks, gasping loudly as a thick stream of black ooze shoots from the corner of its rotting mouth. Much to your dismay, instead of collapsing to the ground as you expect it would, the hideous creature swiftly retreats along the passage and disappears into the gloom. Within just a few minutes, the sound of its laboured breathing and chilling moans fades away, replaced by an eerie silence. You spend the next few minutes checking over your gear and wait to see if the undead fiend is going to return. At last, ready to move on, you step off along the passage, your eyes warily scouring every shadow. Ah, here he is again. I walk 2 feet and you're back. As before, the undead fiend stumbles back, gasping and hissing, as thick black ooze seeps out of it in the many wounds, riddling its rotting shell. With a grim snarl, the vile creature retreats into the darkness, swiftly vanishing from sight. Yeah. Come on, let's go there. Let's ask our stay. I don't know what that song's in my... Oh, now he's... A gruesome moan shatters the silence as the hideous undead fiend once again staggers out of the darkness ahead, its arrival filling you with a profound sense of dread. You once again take note of the hand-shaped piece of blue garnet dangling from its iron chain around its neck. And as the undead foe bears down on you, you notice much to your dismay that he's begun to mimic your combat maneuvers. He's begun to mimic me? Well, not cool. Alright, where's the hand-shaped thing? Use it. Draw and hold up the hand-shaped blue garnet. Almost immediately, the retreating undead fiend stops and turns back towards you, moaning and hissing, and its head pivots to face the object you've boldly revealed. Suddenly it's moaning now little more than a faint murmur, and the gruesome fiend staggers back towards you along the passage. As it closes in, the hideous creature lowers its sword and holds out its left hand. Smiles as the risen court wants to take possession of your hand-shaped piece of... Sure. The piece of garnet rests in your palm. You hold out your hand towards the undead being, hoping that it will realize you're offering it to him. The gruesome corpse as it softly lets yourself and takes the curiously shaped gem out of your hand. The young creature's decayed hand goes around a piece of garment, steps back, and drops the sword. A sharp clattering echoes along the passage as the weapon strikes the floor. A hand-shaped blue garnet hangs from the corpse's neck, suddenly flares, briefly illuminating almost entirely through the corridor with a brilliant white light. And as the light fades, the undead begins hissing softly and bends down, placing a small triangular object on the floor. Then, with a grim snarl, the hideous creature retreats along the passage, swiftly vanishing into the gloom. Engraved stone triangle. As you move up and examine the triangle object left by the undead being, and discover that its flat surface is stone, but its side engraved with strange symbols. Curious what the significance of the item might be, you probably take possession of it after taking a few moments to make certain nothing else lurking, and then thereby doubtless you once again set off along the corridor. What am I supposed to do with this thing? Well, we'll try going back the only way we haven't been. As you approach the stone arch at the west end of the corridor, a profound sense of fear washes over you. Despite the inexplicable and overwhelming terror assailing you, you feel compelled to continue toward the arch. Suddenly, the stone triangle in your possession begins to tremble, drawing out. The curious piece you hold it in front of you begins to step slowly forward. With engraved stone and arm's length and rising fear that seems poised to consume you, ebbs slightly. Oh no, you managed less than a dozen steps along the last bend of the passage before the fear assailing you overpowers your will. Stumble backwards despite desperate to move away from the arch. Intense burning sensation wraps your hand and rapidly spreads to your body. Winded and bewildered but thankful to survive whatever dark magic is at work here, you draw to a halt at seemingly safe distance from that arch and spend the next several moments contemplating your next move. A reapproach. As you approach the stone arch, let's try it again. With each step taken, the stone triangle trembles more violently and the fear assailing you diminishes. Suddenly, the engraved piece... I feel like I've seen something already. Oh. Suddenly, the engraved piece crumbles to dust in your hands, its remnants slipping through your fingers like sand and scattered across the floor. The last vestiges of the terror that threatened to consume you melt away, leaving you with what you can only describe as a renewed determination. Emboldened by having conquered whatever insidious forces were at work here, continue to the end of the passage and into the chamber beyond the arch. The stone sarcophagus, devoid of any manner of ornamentation, stands on a raised dais in the center of this large chamber. Various engraved symbols, all of them arcane in nature, adorn the walls in their order and placement, suggesting they form a series of complex patterns. Standing on the top tier of the dais, you closely inspect the sarcophagus. A single intricate symbol is engraved in almost the exact center of the burial box's heavy stone lid. Suddenly, a small crack runs across the surface of the lid, and the entire dais trembles. Remain at the sarcophagus, the tiered ply seems to tremble, and the lid of the sarcophagus begins to rattle as more cracks appear in the surface. Then, just as quickly as it begins, it ceases, and a nervy silence falls over the chamber. Suddenly, without warning, the lid of the sarcophagus spins up in the air, coming with a whisper of taking your head off as it whips past. The lid shoots up and strikes the ceiling, shattering upon impact in large chunks. And the destroyed slab fall back into the chamber, crashing down into the dais. One large piece on your right side, sending you topping off the tier plinth. You land flat on your back at the bottom of the dais, your head striking the floor with bone-jarring force. Dazed with a torrent of blood streaming down the back of your neck, you slowly regain your feet and fix your gaze on the figure rising out of the open sarcophagus. Standing atop the dais, clad in a flowing black robes that seem untouched by the passage of time, is a tall skeletal figure. Realizing at once that you're now in the presence of Carilda herself, you brazenly remain in place, unwilling to yield ground to the undead sorceress. "You've come here seeking my rings," issued a low, wavering voice from seemingly every direction. "They're not yours to have, Defiler. There's no plunder to be had in these holes." Her voice, echoing oddly off the walls, fills you with a profound sense of dread. It is the next sound, however, that makes your blood run cold. A long howl followed by a cacophony of grim snarls suddenly fill the chamber. You turn toward the unnerving sounds and find two large skeletal hounds stalking into the room. "Ever faithful," hissed Carilda, stepping down on one tier on the dais. Feast on this wench, my pets. With startling speed, the skeletal hounds bound forward and attack, growling savagely. They tear at you with their long, jagged fangs. The second skeletal hound lunges at you, continuing the savage, frenzied attack. Stepping away from the shattering remains of the two hounds, you catch your gaze at the arch entrance, through which strode a trio of sword-wielding skeletons. The chain-clad undead members of Carilda's elite guards, long ago murdered so they can be in tune with the sorcerer's hiss as they advance upon you. As Carilda descends another tier in the day, as you hurriedly position yourself to face up our means one at a time. Hey, you want to hit me with rejuvenation? That'd be great. Catch it. The final ragged hiss, the last of the undead sorcerer's skeletal guardians collapsed on a heap of the bone. Carilda, her movements more fluid than you might otherwise expect, stepped down off the last tier of the dais and raises her right hand. Oh my gosh. The faint aura appears around the tips of her blade, fleshless as she thrusts her hand towards you. Your flesh ripples and the powerful wave of nausea washes over you as Carilda's dark magic assails your defenses. As if sensing your success in staving off her sinister attack, the undead sorceress lowers her hands and steps back. Determined to reach Carilda before the undead sorcerer is able to unleash more of her deadly magic, you rush forward to attack her. Before you can reach her, however, she thrusts both of her bone arms at the floor, and a broad wall of bone appears to block your entrance. As you draw to a halt, momentarily perplexed by the sudden appearance of the gruesome obstacle, the bone wall swiftly encircles you and begins rapidly closing in. Despite driven by desperation, you violently attempt to fight your way out of the vile snare. A final blow rends the wide, jagged tear in the wall of bone. Leaping through the opening, you immediately rush at the skeletal sorceress. Behind you, the remnants of bone barrier collapses into a large heap. Carilda again raises her right hand, revealing a faint blue aura surrounding the tips of her flayed fingers. With a shrill hiss, she thrusts her hand toward you. Your flesh ripples and a powerful wave of nausea rises up within you as Carilda's potent magic works to ravage your being. Despite the intensity of the attack, you manage to stave off without magic's more devastating effects. Her movement suddenly slows and erratic. The undead sorceress lowers her hand and staggers back several steps. Taking advantage of what you perceive as to be her weakened state, you rush forward to attack the skeletal sorceress, determined to prevent Carilda from unleashing any further magical attacks. At the foot of the dais, you overtake their retreating fiend. The undead mage spins to face you, her fleshless hand wreathed in orbs of crackling golden energy. Okay, bye. Carilda steps back and drops to one knee, hissing wildly. Before you can strike her again, the undead sorceress returns to her feet and lunges at you, her energy entwined in her hands swiping out with deadly precision. Okay, not dead then. Oh, I don't have any Neverall. Let's get rid of it. As Carilda again falls back, seemingly about to collapse, you spring forward, prepared to strike her a final decisive blow. Suddenly, however, the skeletal sorceress twists her left to her left and spins to face you, and as she does, her bone hands come together, and a broad arc of blue lightning erupts from the center of her fleshless union. With the roar of its thunder shaking the chamber, the lightning streaks towards your chest. There's nothing I can do about it. Magically, anyway. Your swift reflexes have likely saved your life. The blast of lightning streaks past, come within less than a foot of your prone form before striking the wall. But the resulting blast gouges out large sections of stone, leaps your feet, and divinely step toward the undead sorceress. Skeletal mage, her movements markedly slower and more rigid than they were only a moment ago, raises her fleshless energy cast hands as you rush into melee range. Oh my gosh. As you launch into your attack, the ghostly, glowing visage of the young woman suddenly appears over corridors of a young woman. Oh, finish it off for me. This is the spectral face, its lips barely moving as it issues its desperate directive before abruptly vanishing. Is that the lady who helps me? I'm about to be killed here. In a deep silence descends upon the burial chamber, in the wake of Carilda's demise. You step back from the robe skeleton and the undead sorceress and cast your gaze about the crypt. Nothing stirs in the musty gloom, for that you are profoundly thankful. A stone sarcophagus devoid of any manner of ornamentation standing in the raised dais in the center of the large chamber. The shattered remains of the empty burial box, his weighty lid, are strewn about the foot of the dais. Various engraved symbols are all around them, arcane in nature, adorn the walls in their order and placement, suggesting they form a series of complex patterns. The robes, skeletal remains of Carilda lie heaped in the far corner. Such remains are what the rings. We didn't come here for nothing. In such Carilda's remains, hidden a small wooden box tucked into the pocket of the inside of her robe. Her pulse quickens as you slowly move the box's lid and behold its contents. 3 engraved stone rings. You immediately take possession of the 3 legendary bands. What's so great about them? I mean, they're cool. Certainly. Startled by the hiss to your right, you whip your head in the direction of the sound, only being confronted by an eerie, unexpected sight. Hovering inches from the floor, the shimmering phantasm of young Carilda, the green light emanating from passage across the floor, extending to creep over her remains. It has been done, she says, gazing longingly at her corporeal self. I can only protect what I cannot possess, but now 3 can be 1. It is your choice. Only you can make, and answer only you fit to provide. When you must provide, I am freed of what has consumed me. I need nothing else. In the presence of Carilda's disembodied spirit, you feel none of the fear that your more earthly form inspired. Indeed, your sense of resigned benevolence in the subdued demeanor of the ghostly sorceress. Place the rings on the floor, and they shall become 1. The 3 you've taken are not worthy of my legacy. The 1 will be. Carilda, her gaze fixed upon you, hisses softly. Her phantasmal image flares brightly for a moment and then begins to fade. Make your choice. My time grows short, she says, lowering her voice, her low voice wavering. Keep the 3 or create the 1. Realizing you won't have another chance to decide, you hurriedly contemplate whether to keep the 3 rings you already possess. Place them on the floor. You place the 3 rings on the floor and step back. The shimmering phantasm of the young sorceress floats forward and hovers above the trio of stone bands, bathing them in a lurid greenish glow emanating from her ghostly form. And so the 3 shall become 1. May the 1 be greater than all. As if the pronouncement has caused her to expend her undue portion of a rapidly depleting energy. A brilliant flash of green momentarily obscures the 3 rings. You instinctively turn away from the binding light. Behold, here lies 1 in place of 3. It's yours alone. You look back to find a single stone ring carved in the likeness of a fearsome serpent. Its massive jaws, stretched wide, now rest in the spot formerly occupied by the 3 stone bands. Soft hiss draws to your gaze to Carilda, and the sorceress ghost is swiftly fading from view. And with me must go this place, she says, her tone suddenly mournful. There are secrets hidden in these dark corners of these halls that must never be learned. Take with you the 1 piece of legacy, not beset with shame. Seek out and come to know things greater than those which tormented me. Carilda's apparition is now barely visible. Only a few thin, glowing strands of her phantasmal form remain hovering above the stone serpent ring. Suddenly, a violent tremor surges through the floor, nearly shaking you off your feet. They'll come to ruin. Leave now, and thank you, issues Carilda's voice from too many all directions. The last traces of her vanishes. Okay. It is better than all of them combined. The second tremor shakes the chamber. Several large cracks appear along the walls of the rooms, and chunks of stone drop from the ceiling and shatter the floor. Without hesitation, you snatch at the ring and rush for the arch, determined not to become buried in the collapsing tomb. When the floor beneath your feet begins to buckle, you dash through the arch and out into the passage. Yes, we gotta go. We gotta go, go, go. You twist, stumble, and dodge your way through the falling stone, determined to avoid meeting grisly fate in the lonely dark of the collapsing tomb. And as the tremor suddenly subsides, you gather your wits before hurrying off, eager to reach the entrance. So I'm trying to do. Just ahead looms the entrance to the tomb. With the floor beneath you writhing and buckling, you realize it's only a matter of moments before the tomb completely collapses, and with that unnerving thought driving you onward, you sprint toward the exit. You're in just a few strides of the door at the end of the passage when a massive shape lurches out of an opening to your left. You turn to find the towering iron golem stopping into the corridor, his metal joints creaking and groaning as he raises his giant fist and swipes at you. Come on. You adeptly dodge the golem swipe and sprint to face the tower in terror, drawing yourself into combat-ready stance. With a swift fall shaking the corridor, the massive iron construct swiftly bears down on you. Dude, we don't have time to fight, golems. A grunt of metal grating upon the metal fills the passage, echoing wildly through the musty darkness as the iron golems repeatedly swipes at you. The massive beast, more capable of crushing you, more than capable. I don't want to fight anyway. Can I leave now or what? Series of reverberating groans, the iron goblin collapses to the heap in the center of the passage, its fall sending a tremor the length of the corridor. Without much delay, you turn and rush to the exit of the tomb, continues to collapse around you. You're taking only a few steps away from the top of the stairs when several low rumbles rise out of the earth. Their muffled bellows likely pale in comparison to the roar that must have surged to the collapsing tomb. Following on these of the rumbling, a series of jolting quakes nearly shakes you off your feet, and a billowing cloud of thick grey dust erupts out of the maw of the ancient crypt, polluting the forest with a foul, lingering stench of decay. And as the quaking subsides, you warily return to the opening through which you just emerged, only find that it is now completely filled. Carilda's long-hidden crypt is now forever lost. You spend the next small while in the immediate vicinity of the collapsed tomb, checking over equipment and recovering from an excursion that ultimately proved more tasking than you could have possibly anticipated. Despite not being able to put in many other crypt's foolish perils immediately out of mind, take solace in having explored its ancient passages and merged with its legendary treasure, Carilda's Serpent Ring. And as the afternoon wanes, you decide it's time to head back toward Sryth. The wilder places of the world aren't usually safe when separated from the light of day. Besides, there's a particular curfew you're keen on observing. You take a last look around and return to strike out through the forest, vaguely retracing the steps that brought you here. You've gone only a few yards when your eyes are drawn to a trunk of massive oak. Pinned in the bark of the ancient forest giant with a thin metal spike is a full piece of yellow paper. Curiosity tempered by instinctual awareness, you survey your surroundings before snatching the paper from the tree and rolling it. Scrawled across the surface in darkening are two words: nicely done. Puzzled over the likely source and the meaning of the cryptic note all the way back to the city. In the days that follow your adventure in Carilda's tomb, you settle on the notion that same woman you now twice encountered, whom you never once seen, is most likely the person who left the note tacked to the tree. While they may serve to reconcile the source of the note, it does not answer the many questions your two timely run-ins with the unknown person have raised. For now, it seems that her identity will remain a mystery, and you're about to somehow, at some point, unravel. I'm trying to end this. Several months after your excursion into the grip, you sit at a table near the fire and hold alehouse, ramshackle establishment of somewhat dubious repute in a forgotten corner of the Addison northern sector. An obnoxious band of four young men drunkenly boast on themselves and they begin loudly discussing their plans to find and raid Carilda's tomb, undoubtedly most for the benefit of their patrons within earshot. The brazen talk immediately snares your attention, bringing to mind a scheme of your own. As the group passes on, talking in detail about the looming meeting with a woman who was the southern match of the tomb, you raise to your seat, stroll over to them, ready to put your plan in action on the name of little harmless fun. Four men look up as you approach the table, carefully studying you with their eyes that betray rapidly advancing state of inebriation. Before any of them speak, you push them out the ledge of the forest tomb, placing the table and unfurling, telling them that to save their gold for more ale. To a man, they appear dumbfounded. Without waiting for them to respond, you head to the door and step out into the empty street. A light wind bearing the magnificent aroma of freshly brewed pale ale drifts along the lane, beckoning you to follow its source. Guided by the scent of unmistakable enticing, you turn to the breeze and head along the lane, never once taking notice of your lone, steadfast pursuer. You turn into the breeze and head along the lane, never once taking notice of your lone, steadfast pursuer. What pursuer? This is ominous. Why is these ventures always leaving ominous things behind? We're healed. Let's see if I'm going to get rid of another ring and put this in instead. I can only have 4 rings at a time. This is 666 and 6 spirit. Okay, this is 222 body and 12 body, mind, and spirit. And this is just melee and stamina. And this is 1 luck. might definitely have to do this one instead of the adventurer's room. Alright, unequip the adventurer's room. See, this thing didn't save. I put aside my night song stuff. I saved before I left. This game hates me. Alright, take off the adventurer's room. Put on Corolla's second room. Now is my screw to unlock? Nope, good. Okay, rest. And then save. Now we're going to travel back to my castle. Go to my hidden lair. No, that's not what I meant. Go to my storage room and store items. Store all the night song stuff. Store. Back. Alright, I'm gonna end the episode there. We're way over time. So until next time, thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. You know what I'm gonna say. Peace. The mouse is trying to get away.